What's up, guys? We're here with Monday Night NFL football action here for Week 5. We'll take a deep dive on the Jets versus Dolphins and Bengals versus Broncos. I'll give out my favorite bets against the spread and over-under, and we're going to look at a ton of player props for both games, so buckle up. We've got a great video for you today. Slam that like button and subscribe to the channel to make sure you keep seeing these videos every single day, and let us know your thinking in the comments. I personally read and answer every comment I get. Check the pinned comment throughout the day to see our favorite picks, and you should definitely check back a couple of times throughout the day to see if there are any changes with injury news coming out and player availability being confirmed. Yesterday, guys, pretty much a bloodbath out there. We're going to have weeks like that in the NFL. There's no way around it. It's just part of the way the sport works, and it was pretty rough. It was pretty rough. That's tough to watch. We got off to a terrible start there. We had the Vikings -2.5 in that Dublin game. Wentz did pass for 350 yards, but was picked off twice and sacked 6 times. Something that's pretty embarrassing when you're going up against a pretty bad Steelers defense. Rodgers was only sacked twice, and the Steelers running game got going. Tough to see the Vikings come back there, come up short for us. So a tough way to start the day, and it didn't get much better. We had the Chargers at -6.5. A bad day for Herbert, getting picked off twice, and the Chargers managed to lose 18-21 despite rushing for 152 yards, and their defense coming up with 5 sacks. So a bad look there as well. With the Colts +3.5, that was a super unlucky spot for us. A dumb fumble there out of the back of the end zone leads to the Colts taking the 27-20 loss. Daniel Jones getting picked off twice is brutal, but maybe worse than that was the Colts having no answer for Puka Nacua and Stafford. Jonathan Taylor having a long touchdown run get called back on a penalty was also pretty brutal. We did cash the Lions at -9.5 at -120. A dominant 34-10 win there for Detroit behind a decent game from Goff, but Gibbs and the running game and elite defense is what got them the win in comfortable fashion. So very, very nice to have that win. We still have the Packers at -6.5 live here on the Sunday Night Football game, and they're up 13-2 midway through the second quarter. So hopefully they can hold on for us. Our dog of the day play, pretty unlucky in that one too. We had the Buccaneers at +3.5. They couldn't make this one closer there at the end of the game, and they had some chances. Bucky Irving found lots of success out there both in the running and passing game, but the Buccaneers losing the turnover battle 2-0 is a pretty hard thing to overcome. So we don't quite get there on the Buccaneers, and the 49ers at -3.5. We have yet another loss on the lock of the day. That hot run, I guess a little bump in the road here because, yeah, another game where the turnovers really sank us. San Francisco won the second half 15-9, but the first half they settled for field goals. Purdy getting picked off twice and losing a fumble, and Luke Farrell fumbling away once as well gives the 49ers the loss despite going against a Jacksonville team that couldn't do anything good except hand it to Etienne Jr. and let him carry them to the win, but that ended up working out for him. So pretty brutal stuff. Not going to be a good day out there for us at all. So we have hopefully a great chance here to bounce back on Monday. Having 2 games here is very, very nice. So we're going to go ahead and get after it, trying to wash the taste of that terrible, terrible Sunday out of our system. We're going to get after it here with the Jets going up against the Miami Dolphins in Game 1 of Monday Night Football. The Jets come into this game still looking for their first win of the season. A tough, kind of unlucky loss there in Week 1 against the Steelers, where they lost 34-32. They got blown out in Week 2 by the Bills, losing 30-10. But last week against the Buccaneers, another game they could have theoretically found a way to steal. They do eventually lose 27-29. That was a Tyrod Taylor full game there. No Fields in that game at all, but he's going to be back for this one, so things could look a little bit different. We liked a lot of what we saw from the Jets in that game against a pretty decent Buccaneers team. Obviously, Tyrod Taylor did a good job running the ball, but I think Fields is going to do an even better job running the ball in this one. Nothing else too special there happening in the running game. The passing game, a nice day for Garrett Wilson. Caught 10 out of his 13 targets for 84 yards and a touchdown, so nothing wrong with that. He continues to be having a very, very good season. They did fumble it away once, though. Tyrod Taylor, turned the ball over twice all on his own. Not a great look. He was sacked twice. I do expect Fields to maybe be a little bit better at, avoiding those kind of situations and a little bit better running the ball here. He's healthy, out of the concussion protocol. If this was, like some sort of leg injury or something like that, maybe we could be worried about him, his mobility or something like that, but that is not a concern in this game. He should be very, very much healthy and ready to go. So I think the offense for the Jets is in very good shape coming into this game. Obviously going up against a terrible defense should help as well. On the defensive side of the ball, the Jets giving up 29 points isn't exactly amazing, but they did hold Baker Mayfield to only 233 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. They sacked him once. They did a great job slowing down Bucky Irving in the running game, only gave up 66 yards on 25 carries to him, so very good stuff there. They did let Baker run the ball a little bit, but that's not really a concern against Tua, somebody that, if he runs the ball, it could be the end of his life if he gets hit wrong. So we'll see how things go here. They didn't really completely shut down the passing game, but they did a pretty good job. And while they didn't force any turnovers, it wasn't a terrible game. Not as bad of a game as that 29 points allowed would make it look. So I really didn't hate what I saw from the Jets defensively. And throughout this season, they've had some good games. They've had some bad games. But primarily, this is not, not exactly a defense that I can say is very good. Like, they're 28th in the NFL in points against. So definitely, some steps to be taking in hopefully a positive direction here for the Jets. They could certainly use it. Now, in terms of the injury report here for the Jets, it's looking very, very good there on offense. Obviously, having Fields back, I do think in the long term is a good thing. Breece Hall's healthy, Garrett Wilson's healthy, and the whole offensive line is healthy and ready to go. So a lot of positives there. Being healthy headed into week 4 is, a big plus. Not a lot of teams can say that. Now, defensively, we do see Jermaine Johnson is going to be out there at defensive end, so they won't be quite at full strength. But other than that, the defense has generally stayed healthy this year. They are, not going to be missing any current starters, so that's all very, very positive for this Jets team. And, you got to be a little bit excited for them. This is a team that's still looking for their first win, and they've got a chance to do it here going on the road against the Dolphins, another team that is still without a win. They currently are 0-3. They lost to the Colts in week 1. Lost to the Patriots in a pretty close game in week 2, and then kept things at least semi-respectable there in prime time against the Bills last week. Now, they do end up losing 21-31, so not great, but some pretty big mistakes in that game that could have been corrected. It could have led to them actually coming away with a win. They did do a good job protecting Tua. Not like he holds on to the ball for very long, but they did keep him upright. He was sacked 0 times, passed for 146 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. So definitely not an amazing day out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not acting like Tua is having an amazing season or anything like that, but having a good outing against the Bills, even if their defense isn't great, is not a terrible look. A-Chain continues to be probably the most dangerous offensive weapon they're able to actually utilize here. I do think Tyreek, probably their most dangerous weapon, but with Tua, what are they really going to get to Ty? Are they going to get the ball to Tyreek in space? Like, they just don't have a lot of good options. A-Chain, 62 yards on the ground on 12 carries. He also caught 7 passes for 29 yards, so we'll see if he can replicate any of that here going up against, another pretty bad defense. We saw, Tyreek caught 5 out of 10 targets. That's pretty brutal. And that's not like he's dropping the ball a ton. Like, this is Tua struggling to get the ball to him. Waddle, not a terrible day. I guess he caught a touchdown pass, caught 5 out of 6 targets, so that's a little bit better, but only 39 yards on 5 catches. You kind of, like, Tua's taking all of these super short passes, and he's getting the ball out right away. It just doesn't really result in, big chunks or anything like that. So I'm not in love with what I'm seeing here from the Dolphins offensively. Obviously, in terms of their defense, it has not been good this season either. They didn't have any answers for Josh Allen, gave up 3 touchdown passes to him, did sack him twice, but they let James Cook run the ball 19 times for 108 yards and a touchdown. So very, very concerning what they'll be able to do here in terms of, stopping the run. They couldn't stop Josh Allen from running around, which now they got to face a quarterback who's even more excited to run around. Give up a lot of passing yards to Dalton Kincaid. That's not great. Or receiving yards to Dalton Kincaid, and they forced 0 turnovers. And over the course of the year, this Dolphins defense really not very good, getting shredded by the Colts, Patriots, and the Bills. Getting shredded by the Patriots isn't exactly a great look. They are last, 32nd in the NFL, allowing an average of 32.3 points per game. Not exactly a season that's looking great. Now, they did play okay against the Bills, so I have to give them a little bit of credit there, but obviously not a team we're very high on. Now, in terms of the injury report, they are relatively healthy. A pretty healthy offensive line there is very key, trying to keep Tua from being turned into a vegetable on national TV. Offensively, besides that, Tyreek's healthy, A-Chain's healthy, everybody's ready to go. We'll see if that results in them putting up, a lot of big numbers here against the Jets. Obviously not a great defense, but the defense there for the Dolphins is going to be missing at least one starter there. Storm Duck going to be out there at cornerback. So missing a cornerback here, maybe not the worst spot to be missing a cornerback, but obviously not great. You need those guys on the edge. That can be very, very important. And they got to find a way to stop, just stop Garrett Wilson. And that's not going to be super, super easy. So we'll see what they're able to do. At least they are relatively, close to full strength in this game. Now, looking at the numbers for this game, guys. The Dolphins are 2.5-point favorites at home. We've got a total of 44.5 in this game. The weather report is something we actually kind of want to pay attention to here. It's going to be pretty hot, which is what you'd expect down there in Miami. Winds up to 9 miles per hour and a slight chance of actual thunderstorms. could end up putting us in a lightning delay. We'll see. There could be some rough conditions in this game, but right now it's looking like that's a very low chance, somewhere around the 15% chance, maybe even a hair lower than that. So we're going to be banking on it staying relatively normal weather for this game. So we're going to be banking on that. I do think it's pretty likely. Now, in terms of some trends for this game, the Jets are 2-1 against the spread this year. They're 2-1 to the over. Miami is 1-2 against the spread. They are 2-1 to the over as well. In terms of our against the spread lean, guys, I do like the Jets in the points in this spot. Tyrod Taylor being out there last week did look okay, but I think Fields being back is actually a net positive. I'm more than happy to fade Miami in this spot with Tua looking terrible. 99% of the time, they might struggle to move the ball on the ground against this Jets defense that did manage to bottle up the Tampa Bay running attack last week. Also, the Jets could easily be 2-1 right now, and I think they're being undervalued since they didn't end up getting either one of those very, very close games as wins. Miami has only had a chance in one game, and that was against the lowly New England Patriots. I don't like anything I'm seeing from Miami right now, so I'm more than happy to fade them and take the points here with the Jets. In terms of the total, I'm going to lean just a bit towards the over in this game. Miami their last 9 East Coast games have gone over. The last 7 Week 4 games have gone over for the Jets. Both these offenses are terrible. 44.5 isn't that big of a number. I think we're going to see plenty of offense in this one, and I think the over is maybe not a play that's going to make the pinned comment, but I do think it has some merit. Now, guys, in terms of some player props that I like for this game, and since we've only got 2 Monday night games, I'm able to do a deep dive. Only 2 games on Monday, no MLB games, obviously. We can do a deep dive, and I can bring you lots of our best player props for this game. And first up, I'll take Garrett Wilson here to score 1+ touchdown at plus 160. He's had touchdowns in 2 out of the first 3 weeks of the season. This Miami defense is nothing special. I don't think having Fields back really impacts Wilson much in this spot. He's going to get targets either way, and he's going to get targets down there in the red zone, so I think there's an excellent chance that he comes up with a touchdown. I'll also take him here over 16.5 receiving yards at minus 115. He's been comfortably over this number in 2 of his 3 games, including week 1, where it was only Justin Fields there under center. So I think he's going to get plenty of targets, like I was saying, and to get to 61 receiving yards against the Miami Dolphins defense does not seem like a big ask. On the Dolphins side, I'll take Tua here to throw 1+ interceptions at minus 105. He's been terrible this season just in general and has 4 interceptions through the first 3 games. Getting basically even money on him to throw an interception here, even against a bad defense, seems like a very, very solid value. I also like Justin Fields here over 48.5 rushing yards at minus 110. In his 1 full start of the year, he put up 45 rushing yards against the Steelers, and with his Miami defense looking pretty terrible, I think he'll have a great time on the ground in this one, and we know he's very, very willing and able to just take off and keep it himself on the ground, and it's not like he has a ton of great wide receiver options or a ton of great running back options necessarily, so I think we're going to see him have a pretty good time just running it himself. On the Dolphins side, I like A-Chain here under 13.5 rushing attempts at minus 130. He hasn't been over this number this season at all. They're more than happy to get him touches in the passing game, not running it too much. So I do think, and while that's a reasonable way to get him space, I do think this is a good spot for us to go ahead and fade his rushing attempts. Last but not least here, guys, a kicker prop, our first kicker prop of the season, if I remember correctly. I like Folk here over 1.5 made field goals at plus 120. I don't think there's enough wind to mess us up here too much. Getting plus money, only needing him to make 2 field goals in this game feels very, very reasonable. He's made 2 or more field goals in 2 out of his 3 games this season, so I think that this field goal prop actually has a chance to make the pinned comment, especially getting plus money. Hey guys, hopping here with a quick shout out to the sponsor of today and every day's video, and that is StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and see the top confidence picks from our entire team of experienced cappers. Right now, our premium members are getting daily MLB, UFC, NFL, and college football picks. We also have NHL hockey coming up right before you know it. We're actually running a sale for $100 off a full season purchase there of an NHL package. We also have NBA right around the corner here, less than a month away officially, so that's very, very exciting. It's a great time to jump in there at StumpTheSpread.com. To get over there, click the link down in the description. That's where you'll be able to find our free picks that are exclusively posted over there every single day. There's also our free to use bet size calculator to keep you from busting your entire bankroll on a bad day like we just had on Sunday. That's also where you'll be able to find our premium top confidence picks, which might not and usually will not always match what you see from us here in the videos, as I am not the premium NFL, MLB, UFC, or NHL handicapper over there at Stump the Spread. We have a team of experts, each with over a decade's worth of experience covering all the major sports. And guys, even the experts, even those professionals don't always have the best days, and that's evidenced. It was just one of those days out there in the NFL streets yesterday. The Packers are still drawing very, very live. Jordan Love still drawing very, very live on that touchdown prop. Or did he already cash it? That would be pretty fun if he'd already thrown. Oh, it's already cashed, so that's nice. That one cashes. We have a very, very solid chance of cashing. The Packers just -5.5 there. The Bills over 29.5 cash, but other than that, it was a rough day. The 49ers blew our 2-game parlay. Bryce Young didn't come through for a touchdown, but he did come through last week, so we are up big on Bryce Young's touchdown parlays this season. The Vikings bricked out. The Ravens were a big letdown. The 49ers found a way to lose. Had the Bucks +3. That was a bit unlucky. And on the baseball side, after a perfect day on Saturday, only going 1 and 2 here on Sunday, cashing the Blue Jays as a 1-unit play, but the Reds and Nationals letting us down. So obviously far from a banner day there on the premium side, but I expect the bounce back to come very, very quickly and very, very aggressively. Now, on more of a positive note, we cashed multiple touchdown plays there that we sent out in the email, and that's why you got to get on that free email list over at stumpthespread.com. It's a great resource every single day. You just click the link in the description, go over there to stumpthespread.com, sign up for a free account using just your name and your email address. That's it. That'll get one email straight to your inbox every single day. It'll have at least one free pick, oftentimes 2. Parlays will be included in those emails as well. Lots of player props, good stuff like that, and information on niche sports betting like golf, NASCAR, WNBA, tennis, all kinds of good stuff like that. Great value has been found in those emails. I think there was some winner plays there on the Ryder Cup, and especially those NFL touchdown props did really, really well. So definitely want to get over there to stumpthespread.com and get on that email list. And also, guys, if you're a huge fan of what you're seeing from us here every single day, click that little join button right below the video to sign up for a YouTube channel membership. YouTube channel members get early access to all of our videos, get their name up on screen in every single video, but maybe more importantly, are eligible for our members-only giveaways. And if you're curious about those, well, you're about to see how they work right now, because we're going to be giving away a Stump the Spread hoodie to one random channel member, and this is how it works. Right here, we have the name of every single YouTube channel member we have on this wheel. We're about to spin it, and whoever it lands on is going to get a Stump the Spread hoodie mailed straight to their address. So let's see who the winner is going to be this week. It's looking like it's going to be 79M Branch. 79M Branch, get down there in the comments. Let us know that you saw you won. We'll get in touch with you, get your size and address and all that kind of good stuff, and we'll get that hoodie out to you as soon as possible. If we're lucky, you can get that hoodie in as little time as a week. So definitely, guys, if you're interested in getting in on this giveaway that's going to happen again in 7 days, definitely sign up for a YouTube channel membership, and you'll have just as good a chance as everyone else to potentially win a Stump the Spread hoodie. But guys, we got one more game to cover, so we're going to go ahead and dive back in and get after it. We're going to be looking at our next game on the slate, game 2 of this Monday Night Football action. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals going on the road to take on the Denver Broncos. The Bengals come into this game somehow 2-1 despite having bad injury luck, but they've played a couple pretty bad teams in the Browns and the Jaguars. But last week they played against the Vikings, who we'll see if they actually end up being a good team or a bad team. They let us down here in week 4, but the Bengals did not have a good time against them in week 3, losing 48-10. We saw Jake Browning not have a very good time. That's why we were on the Vikings pretty big last week. And yeah, Jake Browning getting picked off twice, only passing for 140 yards. He was also sacked 3 times. Really nothing was working there for the Bengals in terms of their offense. I mean, the running game didn't get going at all. A total of 53 yards on 21 carries combined there for the running game. Chase Brown had 10 carries for 3 yards. Pretty rough stuff there. We saw Jamar Chase have a terrible day as well. 5 receptions out of 6 targets. 50 yards, no touchdowns there. It was just brutal out there. T. Higgins, a terrible day. Only got 2 targets in the entire game. Just not a lot of good stuff. The Bengals fumbled the ball away 3 times in that loss for a total of 5 turnovers and 4 sacks. Yikes. That was a rough day out there for the Bengals offense, which is supposed to be, the saving grace of this team is their offense is supposed to be able to keep them in games. But yeah, when you lose your quarterback, with no Joe Burrow, all of a sudden things are starting to look really, really bleak out there for the Bengals. Now, in terms of their defense, that was not much better. They gave up 48 points to Carson Wentz there, who had a pretty good day coming in as a backup quarterback. Didn't love what they did against the run. They gave up a ton, 116 yards on 16 carries to Jordan Mason. Also gave 2 rushing touchdowns. That was pretty brutal. They had no answers for Justin Jefferson. He had 75 receiving yards, and the list goes on and on. It was just a terrible day out there for a Bengals defense that we're getting used to seeing be terrible on a day-to-day basis. Like, they are just not very good. They gave up 27 points to the Jaguars in week 2. Like, they have just not not been playing up to any sort of NFL caliber in terms of their defense. I mean, they're 26th in the NFL in points against, giving up 30.3 points per game, and they've played the Browns, Jaguars, and Vikings this year. Like, that is rough. That is a rough look. So we'll see if the Bengals can bounce back at all in this one. In terms of the injury report, obviously, Joe Burrow nowhere near coming back. So it's going to be another day of Jake Browning under center. We do see Noah Fant. He is going to be out for this game, so that is a little bit of a blow, but I don't think it's too big of a deal here. In terms of the defensive side of the ball, they are looking fully healthy, but with how bad this defense has been, I don't have anything positive. It doesn't matter if it's the first string or second string defense out there. This Bengals defense is just flat out bad. The analogy I keep seeing is this team was put together like a fantasy football team with all the money being spent on, the starting quarterback and a couple skill players, no offensive line, no defensive line, no defense in general. So we'll see if they're able to pull things together here and have a real kind of football game here on Monday night against the Broncos. But Denver has to be in desperation mode right now. The Broncos came in with a lot of hype before the season started and have not lived up to that hype. They're 1-2 on the year. They won in week 1, 20-12 against the Titans, who are looking like for sure the worst team in the National Football League. Well, maybe them or the Saints. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit closer. But regardless, the Titans looked terrible. And then in week 2, they found a way to lose by 1 point to the Colts. Although that game can kind of be excused. That was pretty bogus call on that field goal. Then they lost 23-20 in a very tough game against a Chargers team that was looking great. Well, after this week, how great are the Chargers actually? Sounds like we're going to have to wait and see. Now, last week against the Chargers, Bo Nix was okay. Only passing for 153 yards as an NFL quarterback. That was not a great look. 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He was sacked a couple times. He ran the ball 8 times for 33 yards, which is not an amazing average. We did love what we saw from J.K. Dobbins there in the running game, though. 11 carries, 83 yards, and a touchdown. Breaking off that 41-yard run was very, very helpful for him. So not a bad day on the ground there for Denver in terms of through the air. Cortland Sutton really looked like he was, Bo Nix's favorite target for sure. And that makes sense. 6 receptions, 118 yards, and a touchdown. He was targeted 8 times, did have that 52-yard reception. So definitely some big positives there for Cortland Sutton. Denver did not turn the ball over in this game. That's a big part of why they were able to keep it so close. And another big part was the defense. Now, this Denver defense was supposed to be so incredible. And through the first 3 weeks, incredible is not exactly what I would say. They gave up 12 points in week 1, great, but then 29 and 23 points respectively the next 2 weeks. They're 16th in the NFL, giving up 21.3 points per game. I'm not ready to throw a parade for this defense anytime soon. But last week against the Chargers, they did some positive things. They picked off Justin Herbert once. Well played there. 5 sacks. Also very, very nice. But they gave a good amount to the run there. Amari Hampton had 70 yards on 19 carries. We didn't love what they did against Quentin Johnson or Keenan Allen, really. They did create those 2 turnovers, so that's pretty key, creating a fumble and interception, so that's nice. But definitely not as dominant of a defense as they were billed to be. So we'll see. We'll see what they can do here moving forward. Definitely a chance to put up a big defensive day here going up against a Bengals team, which is not exactly elite on offense. And, you're facing a backup quarterback. Now is the time for your defense to shine. Now, in terms of the injury report here for the Broncos coming into this one, we do see Marvin Mims Jr. He is questionable for this game, so we're not 100% sure if he's going to play or not, dealing with that hip injury. Sounds like maybe he could be out there, or maybe leaning towards likely he'll be out there. He did practice fully on Thursday and Friday, so limited on Saturday. Maybe that's just precautionary. I do think there's a chance he'll be out there for this game. In terms of the defense, they are fully healthy and ready to go. And that's supposed to be the strength of this team, so that should probably be the most important. If the defense is healthy, we should expect good stuff here from the Denver Broncos. And look at the numbers. The odds makers definitely are expecting good stuff there from the Broncos. Denver is 7.5-point favorites in this game. We've got a total of 44.5. The weather for this one, going to be pretty mild temperatures and very little wind. There is a chance of rain for this game, but it's pretty slight and shouldn't last long if it does end up raining. So I don't think we have to take too much from the weather in consideration for this game. In terms of some trends for this one, the Bengals are 1-2 against the spread this season. They're 2-1 to the over. Denver 0-2-1 against the spread so far this year. They're 2-1 to the under themselves. Guys, I'm more than happy to fade the Bengals in this spot. Denver's been going against a relatively tough schedule the last 2 weeks. Playing at home here against a terrible defense is the perfect chance for Bo Nix to get back on track. Jake Browning's thrown 5 interceptions through not even 2 full games, and I think he's about to be victimized by this Denver defense. It's a chance for them to show how good they were, supposed to be. Well, time for them to actually put it to action out there on the field, and I think they're going to do that. So definitely give me the Denver Broncos here at -7.5. I think they probably win this game pretty comfortably by double digits. Now, in terms of the total for this game, I'm going to lean slightly towards the under. The under is actually 8-1 in the last 9 games at Mile High, and the under is 7-1 in the Bengals' last 8 games as an underdog when they're coming off a road loss. I also just in general usually want to be siding towards the under in these primetime games just because historically the under in these big high pressure with everybody watching kind of games are a pretty good value. But now, guys, let's go ahead and dive in. We've got several player props we definitely think are reasonable for this game. First up here, guys, I like Dobbins to score 1+ touchdown at -120. He's got 1 touchdown in each game so far this season. The Bengals defense is terrible, and playing on the road, I really think we're going to see him in the end zone here in this game in primetime. I think Denver's going to be more than happy to, just like feature him in this game. I also like Browning here to throw an interception at -175. Feels like a potential lock of the day, if I'm being honest. This dude has not looked good at all. Has 5 interceptions so far this season through not even 2 full games. I think taking to throw an interception or maybe even 2 interceptions in this game, if you wanted to take that, you can get it as a big underdog. You get 2-1 on that is very, very reasonable. I also, guys, I'm leaning towards Courtland Sutton here over 66.5 receiving yards at -115. In 2 out of 3 weeks, he's looked good and been comfortably over this number, and the Bengals defense is atrocious, so we're more than happy to take him to have a good game in this one. I also think Bo Nix, more than happy to get him the ball in this game. I also think this is a good spot to fade the Bengals in the form of T. Higgins. I'll take him under 52.5 receiving yards at -115. He only had 2 targets last week, and while he might get more this week, I don't see Browning having a good game against a good defense like Denver. So Higgins, unfortunately, even if he's out there running good routes, finding some space, I just don't really think that Browning can get him the ball in any sort of position to really take advantage. So yeah, getting to 52.5 receiving yards when they're not really going to get it down the field to him in a meaningful way, like that's going to take him catching 5-ish balls at least, and I just don't see that happening here for T. Higgins. On the Bengals side as well, even despite the injury there, I like Mike Gesicki under 24.5 receiving yards at -115. Hasn't gotten more than 4 targets or had more than 18 yards in any game this season. I don't think that's going to meaningfully change here in this game. That just seems like a very, very big ask. I struggle to think he's going to have some sort of big breakout game here. Weird things have happened. We've been burned by him in years past, but that just seems like an awful lot to ask of him in this game. So I'll go ahead and take his under here without too much hesitation. I'll also like Dobbins here over 66.5 rushing yards at -115. Definitely a pinned comment play. He's been over this number the last 2 weeks. Now getting to go against a terrible defense. I think he's going to have a great night out there. When he's running the ball, that means Bo Nix isn't throwing the ball. So that's a big, big plus there for Denver. They want to make sure they win. I don't think they care if Bo Nix looks good or puts up big numbers. I think they're focused on winning and getting off the schneid here, being 2 down, being 1-2 on the season. So definitely give me Dobbins over on rushing yards in this game. And last but not least, I'll take Brown under 55.5 rushing yards at -120. He had 3 rushing yards last week against Minnesota and 47 yards on 16 carries against a terrible Jacksonville team. Yeah, Cincinnati has no offensive line. Like, what's the dude supposed to do? There's no holes to run through. There's no threat in the passing game because what is Jake Browning going to shred you? So yeah, definitely like his under in this one as well. This is a very, very good chance here to make the pinned comment. I just cannot imagine having some big breakout game unless, we get burned on one terrible play where he takes off and, rushes for 60 yards and a touchdown or something crazy. So guys, unfortunately, that's all we've got for this one. That's all the games we have. There are no MLB games to cover. Obviously, we'll be covering all the playoff games, so don't you worry about that. Get in here, hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. We're in for a big bounce back today, and let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate, or if you wanted to say anything bad about how we did yesterday. I fully welcome that. It was a rough day out there. I appreciate everyone for watching. Make sure you're clicking the link in the description and get over there to stumpthespread.com. Get on that free email list. There were some nice touchdown winners there in the email list for Sunday, and there's going to be more and more coming out here as the week goes on. So that's a great resource every single day. I'm sure there's going to be tons of write-ups for MLB playoffs and all kinds of good stuff there on the email list. So you definitely want to check that out. And, check out the premium picks. They're in for a big bounce back after a rough day there on Sunday. Guys, we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Same time, same place. We're going to be breaking down the MLB playoff games and all kinds of good stuff like that. So get in here. We'll be right here with more sports betting action.